And welcome to Thrift Shop Biography. This is the one about Neneh Cherry. Thank you for listening. Hello, Cleo.
Hello, Richard.
How are you?
I'm all right. Are you all right?
Oh, I'm more than all right.
Are you?
You know, like we did those videos recently where we were talking about our favourite books that we'd read.
Oh, yes.
And I couldn't decide who my number one and number two was because I enjoyed them both so much I daren't put one above the other.
Yes.
If we were recording those videos now, I would say there are three best books I can't decide between because this is one of the best books I've ever read.
Wow.
I loved it. Oh, my God.
It is a brilliant book. I think it might have won a prize.
Well, do you know what? On the front cover, it says it's won a prize.
There you go.
Right?
That's where I
it
got
says
that from.
something like it won like the woman's non-fiction prize. And I thought, oh, yeah, it can't be that good.
Yeah.
Because it's just an autobiography. Autobiographies generally don't win non-fiction prizes.
That's true,
and
actually.
I wasn't convinced. And then I read it and I was just like, oh, it's one of the best books I've ever read.
And it is the autobiography of Neneh Cherry.
Neneh Cherry.
The woman who had a few hits and a couple of albums. You wouldn't believe that she would be the author of an absolutely amazing book. Life-changing, educational, very intelligent book.
So did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved her. I wasn't expecting this book. It's really deep and it's really complex. I didn't know her and I didn't know her life. And it's actually an education, isn't it? About the world and all sorts of stuff.
I've kind of always loved her, and that album, Raw Like Sushi, I would say is still in quite regular rotation over the last 30 years for me because I love it so much.
It's amazing.
And I had her other albums as well, like Homebrew and Man. I had them and I played them and I love them. I really, really rate her. So I knew quite a bit about her, but I did not know the details.
I didn't get those other albums. I feel a bit bad about that.
Oh, they're amazing.
I let her down.
No, you haven't.
I let myself
you
down.
can discover them now and be amazed again.
Can actually.
Yeah. But just to get the inside stories and the feelings and the history, I mean, there are some things I didn't know at all. And I was quite shocked reading. Oh, my gosh, she's lived so many lives, hasn't she?
I know. She is a woman of the world. She really is.
And I've never been so... How many books have we read now?
I don't know.
200? More, because we read loads before we started doing this podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's impossible to count.
I've never been so envious of somebody's childhood before.
Really?
It's quite amazing, other than, like, the dad addicted to heroin. But we'll get there. Shall we just get into it?
Yes, let's start. Neneh Cherry.
Neneh Cherry.
Yes. Born 1964 in Stockholm, Sweden.
Yeah, did you know that?
I did know that. That's one thing I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her mum is the Swede.
She's a Swede and her dad was a parsnip.
She's mixed vegetable.
How cool is her mum?
Her mum is amazing, and this is many things, this book, but it's in part not, just a love letter to her mum, but a sort of mark of respect, and it gives her a chance to be someone through her book, to be remembered as an amazing artist, because she wasn't recognised properly or at all in her lifetime.
Yeah.
Sounds like they were doing a little bit of a good job after she died to sort of save her work, but yeah, an amazing artist, a very endlessly creative woman.
Yeah.
Oh, just so much. There's so much. You can't just sum her up in a little sentence. She's incredible.
Her mum was called Monica, but they called her Moki or Mocky?
I was saying Moki.
Moki.
Sounds nice.
Moki sounds nicer than Mocky.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, so she's got an interesting past. Born in 1943 and from a rural background. And it's her aunt who was a dressmaker who got her into fabrics and stuff. And so in 1962, just as swinging 60s took off, she moved to Stockholm to learn pattern making and drapery.
Yeah.
And got all into the art world and the jazz clubs and the social hub. And everyone was around to her house because she was the centre of it all.
She was the cool one.
She was really, really social.
Yeah. Her whole life is, this whole book is about a family who really embraced other people, other creatives, and invited them into the home, constantly collaborating.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a...
communal.
Yeah, it's communal. Sorry, I was going to say a commune. That wouldn't be quite right, but it's communal artistic living.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Neneh grew up in that from the time she was born.
Yeah, exactly. Right into the middle of the... I didn't even know Stockholm had a swinging 60s. You just imagine that's London or New York. I never heard about Stockholm's swinging 60s scene. But obviously it's just all of Europe had...
It's pre-ABBA.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know that Sweden existed before ABBA.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Mind you, weren't ABBA in some kind of real trippy hippie folk band before they became ABBA?
Were they really?
Yeah, they
right,
were.
Must
and in fact,
find.
actually, no, I tell you what, they were all in different hippie trippy folk bands, and then they all came together. Then they had modicums of success in Sweden. So when ABBA was created for the Eurovision Song Contest, they were kind of a bit of a low-key Swedish supergroup.
Really?
I'm making this up, but I think I think that's the ABBA story.
Right, we need to find an ABBA autobiography, and we need to stop talking about ABBA when we talk about Neneh Cherry. It is so much cooler.
Yeah.
Right, so her dad was from Sierra Leone. She starts this book saying she's kind of got three parents. She's got Moki, her mum. She's got her birth dad, this bloke called Ahmadou Jah, who's a Muslim bloke from Sierra Leone. And his whole history is amazing. Tribal nomads, his ancestors, walking the earth with cows and wives, across lands, like proper, the original inhabitants of Earth sort of stories. And they had multiple wives and many, many kids and all that stuff. But he really did come straight out of that. Like his dad had two wives, and from that, he managed to get schooled, do really well at boarding school. His mum sent him away, and then he got a scholarship. There's only 7 of them sent from Sierra Leone to America to make something of themselves and then come back and improve Sierra Leone. And it says that they left as heroes. Well, when they got to America, it was so racist, they were barely treated as humans. So they all did different things. And Ahmadou went to London and then found jazz there and African music, and eventually found his way to Sweden and took all that with him and introduced Moki to all this jazz and African music he'd found. So it was a journey to get there, and they fell in love, and she became pregnant with Neneh in 1964. But he was never monogamous. But then you think, well, his ancestors weren't monogamous. You could have more than one wife, and that's, not just permissive. That was what you did. So, you have to sort of take that into account. And she said she always knew that and loved him anyway. But then eventually, when she got back from hospital and found a blonde hair in her bed, she went, nah, enough's enough.
Yeah, he had somebody in his bed when she was giving birth in the hospital. He had somebody in their bed. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know. There's a line you draw, and that's where you might draw it. Yeah.
So, 3 months after Neneh was born, Moki kicked Ahmadou out of the home. So she's effectively, in the 1960s, a single mother. But she'd already met a man called Neneh Cherry.
Legendary jazz trumpeter.
Yeah. Do you know what? I Googled him earlier, and there's not a single picture online when he's not blowing a trumpet.
Oh, yeah, and his cheeks puff out like footballs.
Oh, my God, they're amazing. They're like apples on the side of his face. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, he must have blown that trumpet a lot.
Yeah, he must have.
But I bet he's a very good-looking man when he doesn't have football cheeks.
Yeah, but he's really is a legend, and his story's another part of her history, isn't it? Because he's from America, from Oklahoma. He moved to LA. His dad ran a jazz club, a bebop club, and he learned the trumpet when he was 14. He got into heroin when he was 17.
Oh, God. His dad was called Ulysses, wasn't he? I know.
What a great name. Born for greatness.
I mean, I know that heroin was rampant in the jazz scene at that time, but 17 years old to be hooked on heroin,
Yeah.
Christ, and that's something that really just stayed with him his entire life, isn't it?
Yeah, really did. And he met Ornette Coleman, who's a really, really famous jazz musician, and formed the Ornette Coleman Quartet. So he was part of that. That's what made him so famous. And it was a new style of jazz, free jazz. And they toured America, but all over Europe as well, which is how he passed through Sweden. And there's less racism in Europe, which is why he was so happy to settle there. And they were treated like kings in Sweden, he says.
It's amazing. What I loved about this book is because we've read people like Louis Armstrong and Quincy Jones, and so we've had real insights into the people within those scenes. But what I love is that we're reading the book of a child of somebody in those scenes. Well, actually, Neneh Cherry is Neneh's stepdaughter.
Yeah, but she calls him dad. She was only 6 months old when he became her dad, basically. And she didn't even see her dad until she was 9.
Yeah.
In fact, she only found out that Don wasn't her real dad when she was 9. So, I mean, that's her dad as far as she knows.
Yeah.
That's the man who brought her up.
So when she was like a little baby, Don moved in with them and they lived in Stockholm. And Moki goes to college and little baby Neneh's sleeping in a basket under her desk.
Yeah.
Do you know, the one thing I also love about this book is that Moki and Neneh, it's like being a mother has not stopped them from becoming the people that they are. They both, having babies is almost incidental. It just doesn't alter their daily life.
Yeah, not in any way.
Whereas a lot of these books we read from male musicians and film stars and stuff, they date these women and they marry them and they go out and they have a great time. And the second that they have a child, it's like the woman all of a sudden has to stay at home and the marriage kind of grows apart. This is kind of like the female side of it, where there is Moki totally carrying on with her life, even though she's had a baby. And that's completely what Neneh does as well.
She does.
It's just like another part of them. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, she really does. There's different times in this book where she really says, one of them's when she finally goes to visit Africa. And another time near the end of this book where she says, although I've had 2 dads, it was my mother that raised me. She did everything. She did everything for us to practically keep us alive and keep us on track, whilst being an artist, looking after her heroin addicted bloke, organising the trips, getting everything. Like, she realises that although these men are amazing and have totally contributed to her life, it was women that ran everything. So her mum didn't just carry on, she just became a total superhuman.
Yeah, right.
Did everything as well, Yeah, it's pretty cool. And she had another kid.
Yes.
She had Eagle Eye.
Eagle Eye Cherry.
Eagle Eye Cherry in 1968. What's that song? Save tonight, fight the break of dawn. That's his song, isn't it?
Yeah, one of his songs, yeah.
That's his most famous.
Yeah, and that's Don Cherry's son, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really cool. That's her little
Yeah,
bruv.
I know, it is really cool. And I love the baby pics of them in the book. It's like, oh my God, that's Neneh Cherry. So clearly Neneh Cherry as a child and so clearly Eagle Eye Cherry as a child.
Yeah.
They like literally grew up together.
Yeah,
It's
I know,
so cool.
it's really cool. Yeah, and she does mention him. Sometimes they stop mentioning their siblings, but he comes and goes a lot, and they're obviously really close.
Yeah.
And both really musical. I mean, you couldn't not be in that family.
Yeah, I know, right? Although Neneh doesn't necessarily, she's around music and she's immersed by music, but she doesn't start singing until much later, really.
That's true, yeah.
But they have this very transient life. They're living in Stockholm, but Don is going to Paris to jazz clubs and stuff and forming groups. Then eventually they kind of mutate into the Don Cherry Quintet, which is then taking them, or where do they go? They go from New York to Paris to Stockholm to London. They just really go everywhere.
Yeah, they really do. They're in Amsterdam for a bit. They buy a van and just drive all over Europe.
Wow.
To Istanbul.
Yeah.
All sorts.
They're literally not in any city for longer than 6 months at a time. Although Stockholm is their base, as it were.
Yeah, they always keep coming back there. And then it's really bad because every single time they go to New York, Don gets back into heroin. Then every time they're back to Sweden, he has to go through a detox, which is hell.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it. I've almost never read of someone who can so consistently keep coming off it.
Yeah, maybe it is the change of environment and the change of pace, maybe.
Or maybe you just can't get any or something.
And if temptation isn't there,
yeah, that's probably true.
I don't know. But she says every time they go to New York, they're there for a couple of days, and then Don says, I've just got to go and take care of business. And they know he goes and he takes what little money they might have. He takes it, and then he's gone for a few days. And it's so depressing.
It's hard, isn't it? Yeah. Well, so there's this little bit of time where Don got a job as a visiting lecturer at a university in New Hampshire, and they moved to Vermont, which seems to be the most civilized place to live, apparently, according to most of these books.
Yeah.
But they got a bit disillusioned still by America. But, I mean, it sounds like a great job, and he really, really changed some lives, a lot of young people's lives for a while there. Did some great work, and they got paid well, so they saved enough money. They went back to Sweden and bought this former schoolhouse in a village.
Oh, I love it.
Massive. And that just became, I mean, she's still got it by all accounts, hasn't she? At the end of the book, she says she's back there making music. It's a huge schoolhouse. So there's like, huge halls for the lessons, all these rooms.
Yeah, it just sounds idyllic to me. And now, after reading this book, I almost want to visit it like you can visit Graceland.
Yeah, that's right.
It just sounds amazing.
A major sort of communal space.
Yeah, and it just became this creative hub for anyone, and anyone could come and stay. And because they were away so much, people would come and live in this schoolhouse while they went to New York for 6 months or while they went on another tour.
And there's proper hippie stuff going on, but parties and stuff. But that's the environment Neneh Cherry grew up in.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. She always says, people think it must have been wild, but they were still really strict with kid behaviour.
Don was very strict because of his own upbringing.
Yeah.
So there was a sense of discipline and responsibility amidst all the tearing about and creativity and stuff.
Yes, all mixed together.
So her dad, like when she's 9, she realises that she has this other dad, her birth dad, Amadou Jar, who's actually soon after leaving Moki, he met another lady called Malin, a former dancer, and they have 2 children, Titio and not Chemo, is it? And Chemo.
Yeah.
Do you know Titio?
Titio?
I'm sure I'm not pronouncing her name right. Titio. Titio. She was a singer
really?
at the beginning of the 90s.
What's her surname?
No,
she's
just
got one name.
She's got a mononym like Tiffany.
Yeah.
No, and I checked out her videos are on YouTube still. I remember them at the time.
Oh, that's cool.
And Neneh and her became very close when she discovers that she has a dad and a sister and a brother.
Yeah, well, the other side of this whole story is, whilst there's this huge commune and she was part of this massive scene, when she was outside or at school or in the neighbourhood, she was very alone by being a brown-skinned girl in rural Sweden. They lived in Stockholm as well, and anybody that's similar to you would cling to because they'd understand. Because there's absolutely her whole life is peppered with racist pokes here and racist poke there that really hurt, and really affect her and make her feel isolated and different. And she's trying to find her people and find who she is and where she fits in. That's what leads her to punk eventually, because punk is for the dispossessed.
There's a very telling little bit in this book about how she tries to fit in at school, because even though she's growing up in the same house as Don Cherry, this very cool, and she's been going around all the jazz clubs of the world as a child and is in these commune musical environments. She comes home from school one day with a Donny Osmond record.
Yeah.
And Don never says to her that shit or anything. He's just like, okay, this is something that a 10-year-old girl will go through. And I think that really tells you how much she really tried to fit in at school.
Yes.
Is that she got into Donny Osmond.
I know.
Because she wanted to fit in with the other girls at school,
It says, Don's face said it all.
Yeah, but he never said anything to her.
He never said anything. But he didn't need to. But she had to find her own way, and that was what she was doing.
Yeah.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
Some of us didn't grow out of it.
So, when they're in Stockholm, so even though they're kind of going to all of these other, New York, etc., while they're in Stockholm, they're really immersed in the social creative scene. Like, they're even doing children's TV shows on Swedish TV called Piff Paff Puff, which was filmed in the schoolhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And Neneh and Eagle Eye are actually in it. I would love to see an episode of a Swedish TV show.
Oh, yeah, that's after they did that residency in Stockholm's Modern Museum, isn't it?
God, they went and lived there for 3 months in the museum.
And that got them noticed. Yeah, in a dome, in the grounds of a museum that's on an island. It's so cool.
Do you see what I mean? This is why I'm so envious of her childhood. How just exciting does that sound for a child to go and live in a museum for 3
Yeah,
months?
no. You see the pictures in the book, it's amazing. And her mum painted all the floor and it's just... all these, it's just, it's amazing. It's be like living at Glastonbury Festival, but when it was smaller.
Yes.
It's brilliant. So anyway, and the downside to all of this is that there's a massive anxiety. Her mum has it the most, but she also picks up on it big time that Don's going to die because of his heroin. He's near death a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And pulls back out of it and stuff. That's a deep-rooted anxiety that's set in there, that another part of the piece of the puzzle of this person, isn't it?
Yeah, and Neneh actually admits to reading her mum's diary, and she says that she literally bought the schoolhouse, which was in the middle of nowhere in the Swedish countryside, and that was mostly because she wanted to keep Don away from drugs.
Yeah.
So that was kind of semi-successful, actually.
It actually
because
was.
when he was there, he did.
Yeah. And people travelled to that place. It was not like nobody turned up. Everyone went, you know, so they brought people to them and got him away from it. Yeah. No, it was genius.
And she says there was lengthy periods in Europe when he was completely clean.
Yeah.
It's just when he went back to New York, within 2 or 3 days, he would totally be gone again.
Yeah, that's it.
So you never know. Like, buying that schoolhouse might have even saved his life.
Yeah, I bet it did.
Yeah, his younger life. Because if he'd stayed in the city, he probably would have been using a lot more.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
anyway, right. So they were on their way to New York one day. This is now 1976. Bang, in the middle of punk. And they stopped, her and her mum stopped over in London for 2 or 3 days, she said. Can't have been more. And she heard the Clash and just went, oh my God, this is it. This is everything. I think they went round the King's Road and hit a few punk spots, didn't they?
Yeah.
And she was just like, I'm in. I'm totally in. I want to be a punk. And the next day she dyed her hair red and became a punk, basically. That was it. And then they moved to New York and they were in this really funky apartment in Long Island, and again, the whole commune and all the jazz scene was hanging out. Oh, in that building, which sounds so cool, Talking Heads were there in the same building rehearsing and stuff.
I can't believe this.
I know.
It's just insane, right? The names that she drops in this book, which were just part of her childhood.
Yeah.
These people, like, it goes from Allen Ginsberg to Angela Davis to Talking Heads, Lou Reed. These people are just around in her orbit when she's like a 14-year-old. It's mad.
Yeah, that's right. So she forms her first band with the guitarist from Talking Heads' stepdaughter.
Yeah.
And they start making a load of noise in this same building.
And Tina Weymouth from Talking Heads gives Neneh Cherry a bass guitar.
Yeah.
When Neneh Cherry is 14, it's just like, oh my God, this child is living my dream.
Brilliant. Oh, yeah, and as well, you know, she's hitting all those clubs. It's that same scene that Blondie's in talking about and that Beastie Boys talked about. It's that exact scene, the Danceteria, the Mud Club. They're going to CBGB's.
And like this girl who she started a band with is 2 years younger than Neneh.
Yeah.
Neneh is 14. This girl, Natasha, she's
12 and 14.
And they go out to the clubs. And like Moki has an understanding with Neneh that Neneh's a sensible girl and she's not going to get in trouble. It seems like a different... Well, you know, we hear about younger people going to Studio 54 and stuff. But it's just like
but
these...
12 and 14.
They should not be in nightclubs.
I know. And she said when they won't let them in clubs, her mate kicks off, my dad's in Talking Heads, you've got to let us in. And that's how they get in.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
It's so crazy. You know, these people, like we read Jennifer Grey, and she was going into these nightclubs when she shouldn't have been.
She was.
It just seems to be a lot of it going on.
There's a lot of it. New York's
with the timeline
wild.
as well. Do you know something else that blows? Because we've read lots of these books and they kind of all come together in certain locations.
They do.
Like in Danceteria in 1980, if Neneh Cherry's in there as a 14-year-old, then Madonna's also in there as a 20-year-old dancing. They're probably all there at the same time.
No, you're right. Well, this is still about 1978. So probably Madonna was there.
No, I totally believe she was.
That's about right.
Yeah, no, I do.
Yeah,
it's all kind of it's nuts to think everything is all these people are coexisting together and nobody quite knows who they are yet.
It's so much came out of it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So all right. So it's interesting how it all happened because the Slits was like the maybe only female punk band ever, or certainly in Britain. Is that right?
Well, no, I wouldn't say they're the only ones ever.
There was Polystyrene.
With X-ray specs,
There's Polystyrene that she mentions.
Yeah.
But that's X-ray, but she's a female in a punk band. The Slits were all female.
And also, Polystyrene's not a white lady, which I think is really important for Neneh. She saw somebody who was different.
Yeah, it's really important that there was one other brown-skinned person in the punk scene.
And Polystyrene encouraged, like Neneh, when she saw Polystyrene, she thought, oh, I can sing.
Yeah, I could do that, yeah. Then the Slits invited Don on tour to be part of their UK tour playing the trumpet. Because, and I've had to investigate the Slits for the first time, I bet you knew more about them, but I listened to them and they're absolutely amazing. But I didn't realise that, you know, they're punk, but there's so much reggae in the punk.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's a really like African and reggae, and it's all mixed in. It's lots of different sounds, which makes more sense to me now why they'd get this jazz trumpeter to join.
Yeah, they were really unique.
Yeah, really eclectic.
But, this is also, when punk, just the guitars and public school boys screaming, that's kind of 1976, 1977.
Yes.
And the Slits, this is like 78, 79. So punk's been around for a couple of years.
It's evolved.
And it's inspired people to do whatever they want with whatever they want.
Yes.
The thing that does surprise me about the Slits is just how young they are.
I know.
Also, at the same time, two-tone is happening in Coventry with the ska, and that's very dub and reggae based. So the Slits kind of
that's right,
straddling punk and two-tone, maybe.
Yes,
because it's all going on.
There's no barriers. It's all it's a big collage, isn't it? Really, a sound collage.
Yeah, and so much more interesting than just punk, right?
Yeah, it really is. So they got the punk attitude, and the things they're saying are really wild, and that there's no boundaries there. And they're being really sexual as women, owning it, all that stuff. That's punk, but from a female perspective.
I mean, the fact they're called the Slits is really
yeah, exactly. That gives you the clue of what they're about, and they're taking ownership of it. And it's brilliant. And then there's this bloke, Don Letts. He's the DJ, a Jamaican, and he's a filmmaker. And then he formed Big Audio Dynamite with the Clash's Mick Jones. So that's where the reggae comes into the punk, and it all mixes in. And because he was a DJ, he collected all the reggae records and was playing them to everybody. So in the punk scene in London, everyone went back to his house to smoke weed and listen to his records. And that's how he influenced that whole scene through his records and them all. He's the what's the DJ at the Blitz Club called? Rusty Egan.
Oh, Rusty Egan, yeah.
Don Letts is like the Rusty Egan of the punk scene because he's he's the one collecting the sounds and then sharing them.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. It's really, really interesting. So he was on that tour as well. And then Paul Rutherford joined it as well, who later formed Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
He just turned up on the bus one night, didn't he?
Yeah, turned up on a bus and didn't leave. And I mean, it's just great. There's a dub band with them. And there's Lou Reed's house band with them. And she's 15 and Don says, come on this tour, let's go. And takes her with him. Absolutely brilliant. She needed that to happen at that exact point.
As well, like the singer of the Slits, Ari Up, she's only a couple of years older than Neneh at this point.
Yes.
And they seem, not initially, but they eventually really do hit it off. And Ari says to Neneh, come and be part of the Slits. And Neneh's like, well, what can I do? Well, you can just dance and do some backing vocals, because this whole communal environment where people could come and go, and like saying that this tour bus where Paul Rutherford just can, people can just come on and be part of it. It sounds like the Slits are kind of operating under a similar ethos, really, because they're just like saying to Neneh, just come and be a part of it.
Yeah.
Don't quite know what you're going to do yet, but just come and hang out and contribute in some way.
Yeah, well, in the same way as this book's sort of paid homage to her mum, I think she's made sure that it's given the Slits history a little bit of a boost as well.
Yeah.
Because she really talks about him. And she talks, Harry's mum was a German woman called Nora Foster, and she was a promoter and manager of music. She married John Lydon from the Sex Pistols. That's mad, isn't it? So they were bang in the middle of the punk scene because, they'd formed the Slits after the Sex Pistols had invented punk, basically, And Harry's grandma, so that's this woman's mum, was a burlesque performer in Berlin. So you do get... That's why Ari is this amazing character with no holds barred. Because I looked it up. She does later on in this book say that Ari had died of cancer. She had twins. Then she ended up moving to Jamaica and had another kid with someone else. She died at 41 of cancer because she refused treatment. So that's her story. It's way too short. But I watched this documentary of the Slits, and John Lydon was on it saying that her children were wild and other kids were afraid of them. After she died, he took them on. He and that Nora took on those kids, their grandkids, and raised them.
Wow.
Yeah. So that Ari's kids were raised by a Sex Pistol. It's mad, isn't it? I didn't know any of that.
You've just made me realise who Ari Up's mum is then, if she married John Lydon.
Right.
She got very, very poorly for years and years, and John Lydon basically nursed her.
Really?
through it all.
He was a lot younger
And you
than
know
her.
that really terrible TV show called The Masked Singer? Do you know what I mean? Where famous people are in a costume and you have to guess.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
John Lydon was on it, right? And I kind of thought to myself, why the hell is he on this primetime rubbish TV show?
Yeah.
And when they revealed him, he said, I'm doing it for my wife because she's really ill and this is really going to cheer her up to see me on this show.
Oh.
And I kind of thought, he just seems like the nicest man.
Yeah, I know. It's a whole different side of
it doesn't surprise
him.
me that they took those children on.
Yeah, I know. He said they were a real handful, but I loved them. I loved it. I loved raising them. It was great having them around. It's really nice.
Yeah.
This whole book has stories off the stories. Like you could write books about each chapter. You know, there's so much going on in this.
Neneh's literally been everywhere. She's been a part of every single scene of the 70s and the 80s. It's mad.
She does, doesn't she? She dips through it all.
She's like Forrest Gump.
She is Forrest Gump. She is.
She's met everyone. She's been everywhere.
And even, because then she dips into the New York scene. She's talking about being amongst all that, you know, when hip-hop was happening. And she was actually, they were on the bill with Grandmaster Flash, you know, with the Slits, because it was sort of similar, because it was kids who had nothing, who were on the street, who were just making music from nothing, and that's what the punks were.
Yeah.
So they all sort of grouped together. It's brilliant. And even the Beast Boys coming back, Queen Latifah, there's the whole scene, there's tons of Africa Bambaataa, there's just that whole, she was bang in the middle of it all. Chuck D, everything.
Yeah, and I think that kind of, with some of those musicians that they were touring with, who was it? Gareth Sager and Bruce Smith of the pop group called Neneh one day because they were putting this collective together called Rip, Rig and Panic, which was very percussive in that, you know, and I think that was born out of this sound system scene, Africa Bambaataa with the Slits and stuff, and they had this new project that they wanted to launch, and they just thought, we need a singer. Neneh is the perfect person. So they called her and said, come and be part of this collective. And she did. Now, what I was really surprised to learn is that her and Bruce Smith, of Rip, Rig and Panic, got together.
Yes.
So they kind of fell in love quite quickly. She's still 17. They got married. Moki had to sign the paper because Neneh was only 17. But of course, because she was travelling everywhere, she was still a Swedish national. She could only really stay anywhere for 3 months at a time. So I think they were in love, but they got married so she could stay.
Yeah, for convenience of, residency stuff, But they really were in love.
Yeah. So also what's really surprising is that quite shortly after getting married, she got pregnant.
Yeah, I know.
You know, like, if we're going to jump ahead a few years, when she's on Top of the Pops with Buffalo Stance, she was very, very visibly pregnant. And that caused a lot of furore because we'd never seen a pregnant pop star before.
Never. They never put a pregnant woman on Top of the Pops being a pop star and being really cool.
What I didn't know...
Yeah.
When I was reading this book, I was kind of like, no, hang on, she's not pregnant yet. She was pregnant on Top of the Pops, but actually she was pregnant on Top of the Pops with her second child.
Yes, that's right.
And I had no idea that she already had another child at that point.
That is true. Because it was 1989 when she became famous and went on Top of Pops.
Yeah.
We're talking 1981.
Yeah.
When she's having a kid.
1982 was when her daughter, Naima Jade,
was actually born.
That blew my mind to think she also was doing all of this with a toddler and pregnant. Because, of course, this is what Moki would have done.
That's
Moki
right.
Did not stop her life because she was pregnant and had a baby.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it's very much that thing where the village raises the kid, because there's so much in here where she's like, we're off out here and we're off out there and it was so much fun and blah, blah, blah. And so-and-so was looking after the kid.
Yeah, she says that when her first daughter was 6 weeks old, they took her on tour with Rip, Rig and Panic in a carry cot in the transit van.
Yeah, because that's how she grew up. It's all good, yeah.
Also, at this time, she's so immersed in the scene of collectives and collaborations and stuff, and she's hanging out at a pirate radio station. She's living in Kilburn now at this point with Bruce and her little baby, And Andy Oliver as well is very much part of her life. They've been friends forever. I think they had a cooking show on BBC Two a few years ago.
Yeah.
And Andy Oliver became also a vocalist with Rip Riggett and Panic.
Oh, yeah.
And, they would hang out and they would read Nikki Giovanni together, and they would read a lot of American black literature and Toni Morrison. But they would also hang out at the local pirate stations. All of a sudden, you know how lyrically brilliant Raw Like Sushi is?
Yes.
And just how positive it is.
It's amazing.
This is the nucleus of it, the stuff they're reading. And then she's hanging out at this pirate station where they're playing a lot of dub and stuff, and she said there's this woman called Bionic Rona. When they play some of the dub songs and stuff, she starts toasting along.
Yes.
And that's when Neneh thought, I should try to do some rapping.
Yeah.
I love that. All of a sudden, you see where all of that brilliant lyricism kind of is developing. But then, of course, she's hanging out with all of these brilliantly creative people. And one of them is Ray Petrie, who chooses her to go to Japan in 1984 to kind of launch the whole Buffalo Posse scene. And so she goes with a load of other models who we soon will learn of, like Nick Kamen and his brother.
Nick Kamen, yes.
And a man called Cameron McVeigh. And it's kind of almost love at first sight, isn't it?
I mean, he's a fashion photographer, video director, TV producer. He's like a songwriter. He's everything in one man. But the funny thing is, he's almost too cool to talk to. And then she says they're all on the plane and he's handed out this delicious cake, banana cake. They've all had a bit. And then she's also had some alcohol and then takes a sleeping pill because it's a really long flight to Japan. And suddenly they all come up on it. And it's really, really strong weed cake or hash cake. They're absolutely tripping on the airplane. She said Nick Kamen actually goes to the door and tries to get off the plane in the midair. Oh my God, it's brilliant. And of course, this makes her really like him.
Yeah.
She said, but by the time they got off the plane to change planes, they're in the airport absolutely all over the shop trying to get food because they're starving, munchies and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the beginning, really.
So she basically says they come back to London from Tokyo and they're in love.
Yes.
But of course, the other part of this story is she's
married with a kid.
Much married to Bruce, yeah.
To a really nice fellow. But he's on tour a lot because he plays with various bands just to make a living because he's got a wife and kid to look after. So he's not there a lot. So she actually has a 2-year affair, which she's not proud of. And it only kind of comes out because they got busted, but it was inevitable, wasn't it? Because it's like everyone knew except him.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, not that I'm defending adultery or anything, but she did marry him when she was 17. That's so young.
If she hadn't married him and had a kid, it would just be a boyfriend she had to break up with. But yeah, because she's still to this day, and that's a long time with Cameron. That was amazing to me.
Do you know what? That's another surprise of this book is that, I don't know why I thought they might not be together, but the fact that's a showbiz marriage and they've been together for 40 years. And that it has not been easy, as we will find out. Yeah,
she's been a total and utter nightmare and he's stuck by her, basically.
But do you know what? What a lucky man being married to Neneh Cherry for that long.
I don't know. The way she describes her own behaviour, I wouldn't think he's that lucky.
Look, she's Neneh Cherry. I'd let her go away with anything.
Would you?
Yeah, of course.
I would have run. But anyway, no, I mean, I love her album, but I'd have kicked her out and kept the album.
But she's so beautiful as well.
He's a very good-looking man, but she's absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
Anyway, right, it's this whole book describes how they sort of conjured up that song Buffalo Stance, which is what kicked her off. And it's really cool. It's very much like one of Moki's collages, or like there's a bit of their music and a bit of her words and a bit of that idea, and it all sort of jumbled together. And it was a B-side of Cameron McVeigh's band, which was called Morgan McVeigh.
With Jamie Morgan. Have you watched that video on YouTube? I've always known this video, Looking Good Diving, which is a song they did, which eventually became Buffalo Stance. Because do you remember our friend Pretty?
Yeah.
she told me about this song like years ago because I was like, oh, I love Neneh Cherry. She goes, oh, wow, you need to watch this video because she knew them all because she worked at the record label.
She is mentioned she is listed in the thanks section of Raw Like Sushi. I went to get my copy when she told me and she pointed out her name. I've never been more starstruck by a housemate.
Neneh Cherry went to her wedding.
Yeah, I know.
Which blew my mind.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The music video to Looking Good Diving actually has Neneh Cherry. So it's the two boys singing, being very good looking. And they have, I think it's slightly inspired by Addicted to Love with the female backup band.
Oh, okay.
And so they have women musicians behind them, who is a pre-fame Neneh Cherry before we all know her, and Andy Oliver, and weirdly, Naomi Campbell on keyboards before any of us knew who she was.
That's mad.
You would love it, right? Because there's something so cheesy about it. But do you know what?
Yeah.
I think it was either Cameron or Jamie Morgan never did music again because they were so embarrassed with how it came out. And people made fun of them. And he was so cringy. He went behind the scenes and stopped putting himself out the front. Yeah, which I think is a real shame because it's just a fun 1980s song.
Yeah, but that's fun. But they were behind the scenes then for the rest of time and would have contributed to tons of music. So that's all right. So, yeah, it's Tim from Bomb the Bass.
Tim Simonon.
Said, I want to cut a new version of that song. And it's because of him. Because in that song, it goes, Bomb the Bass, rock this place. And I never knew why they said that. And there's so many little bits like that. I was like, that's where that came from. And the Buffalo Stance is all from that clothing line.
Buffalo Stance is just, to this day, it still holds up. It's such a brilliant, I wouldn't even call it a pop song, although I guess it is.
Yeah.
But it just keeps going and it keeps changing direction.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And of course, it's her voice is just so clear, whether she's rapping or singing. Also, the production of it is just, it really is something. I think when they made that, they must have thought there's no question that this is going to be a worldwide hit. And even when it comes on the radio now, it's just brilliant.
Yeah, it is. And do you know what? I mean, I was about 14, 15. And she talks so much about feeling empowered. She punk made her feel empowered. The reggae scene made her feel empowered. Going to Africa as a woman, as a brown skin woman, all that felt like an outsider. And all these things that gave her power.
Yeah.
Buffalo Stance gave me power as a woman. It made me feel like if I listened to it and I learned all the words and I sang it, I was empowered. She passed it on to me. And even just that photo on the cover, she's a woman, she's beautiful, but she's got power, It's great, and that's what I was looking for at that age. I wanted that as a hero, an inspiration, and she totally did that to me. I loved her.
Raw Like Sushi really was just really progressive at the time. I remember being really knocked out by it, and it still holds up now. I'm listening to it regularly.
It does. Yeah,
brilliant.
I've been listening to it all week. It's so good. The whole album is so good.
And do you know what I'm not ashamed to admit? Is that I still know every single word to that album.
I know every single word.
Came out. It's amazing.
I can do all the raps. Man Child.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Hey, what's really surprising to me? Okay, so Buffalo Stance is released and it gets picked up by radio. They do the nightclub circuit. And long story short, she gets a top 3 hit and she arrives on Top of the Pops heavily pregnant. And everybody's like, who is that heavily pregnant woman on Top of the Pops? That's not allowed.
Yeah.
And do you know what I remember at the time? Because that was radical in itself.
It was.
And actually only Neneh Cherry was somebody who could perhaps do something like that. Her own views on motherhood, which came from her own mother.
Yeah, she had no shame. She was proud.
I remember her being interviewed on TV and somebody said to her, how can you do this 7 months pregnant? And she said, it's not an illness.
Yes.
But I remember thinking, wow, I've never heard anybody say that before.
Yeah, that's right.
And do you know what? You kind of think it's probably because of Neneh Cherry that then the Spice Girls can get pregnant when they're on Top of the Pops.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure. Yeah, someone has to do it first. Yeah.
They are just, well, no, sorry, I was just about to say they are just pop stars. Nobody's just a pop star. But the fact is that can actually follow down so many other vocations in life. It just shows a woman can still do stuff when she's heavily pregnant.
Yes. And all the women are going, yeah, thanks, Neneh. There goes my 5 months off paid.
There goes Do you know also what blows my mind is that the second single Man-Child, which is an absolute stone-cold classic.
Banger. Yes.
The American record label wouldn't release it because they thought it was too abstract.
Yeah, that's mad because they do go together.
So America never got Man-Child, and that was a massive hit in England.
Yeah, it's crazy. And yet she toured America. She was touring with the Fine Young Cannibals, which is an interesting combo.
Yeah. And she won Best Newcomer at the Grammys and the Brit Awards. So she's really kind of made it.
Yeah. And she's changed things a bit. She's contributed to the scene and changed things a bit.
What I think is really interesting is that so she does the whole pop star thing and she's massively famous. The album sells 100,000 copies in the first week. So she's big news and she goes on the whole PR tour and everything. And then she kind of says, after 3 months of doing that, I got the fame thing out of my system, which is really interesting because she never really chased it. She makes amazing music and her albums never hit the heights of Raw Like Sushi.
No, because even Don Cherry, who's a jazz legend, he doesn't know paparazzi. He doesn't know any of that. That doesn't happen to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it must have been a surprise.
So it's just very interesting that, you know, she just kind of decided, not that she didn't decide to be famous anymore, but she just didn't play the fame game anymore.
No, she didn't.
I think the subsequent albums didn't fare as well because she didn't do the PR circuit and stuff.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what? This is probably the first book we've read of a musician like her who really hasn't gone on and on about the deal she got or the managers or who she signed with. She just skips around. She doesn't really talk about it.
It's about the music.
But yeah, you're right. It's right. The business side of it is just not of interest to her because it's about the music.
Yeah, it's about the art. That's who she is. She's an artist and a mother and a person and a woman, you know?
Yeah. Isn't it cool when she gets a really young Biggie Smalls to rap on her Buddy X song?
Yeah.
And it's also, you know, talking about all the racism, that she also mentions the racism the other way, that her having a white husband caused so much tension, you know, and how he got a lot of abuse and he just sort of took it on the chin because he knew it's not his fight. He's there to try and blend in, you know, and just support. What a good fellow. But, you know, then things like when they got Biggie Smalls to come into the studio and it was a bit awkward because she said you could tell that he was going, who's this white man in the car? And then they got to the studio, Busta Rhymes gives Cam like this massive hug and Q-Tip's there and they all know him and then everyone relaxes. It's like, you know, it's not usual in that scene that she's describing that everyone crosses over. She gets quite a bit of jip for it, for having a white husband. So she's crossing every boundary, basically. She's just she represents the world. She's everyone.
Do you think that's why they got held up in New York? Because, you know, at the time the second album came out, they were living in Brooklyn and then they get mugged at gunpoint outside their apartment. I was quite shocked by that. You don't imagine like famous Neneh Cherry is going to get held up at gunpoint. But because of that, they kind of decided to leave New York, didn't they?
Yeah, after that. I think it's just that there's lots. I mean, we've totally skipped by that. She got raped when she was quite young.
Oh, damn it.
And that's, you know, that's in London. You know, so there's just trouble. There's bad stuff. There's people everywhere. You're living in cities. Stuff is going on. You know.
Oh, shit, we've skipped over
Life
quite
is
a lot,
happening.
actually, because there was that older guy in LA. She seemed to lose her virginity at quite a young age to this older kid, right?
Well, let's say that now. Let's say that we've skipped over a lot, including.
How could we not skip over so much? This woman's lived 100 lives. We couldn't possibly fit it all in.
Yes.
I mean, the thing I would say to anyone listening is go and buy this book today because it is seriously one of the best books I've read while doing this podcast.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's just got such a lovely narrative style. She lets you in, and a lot of it is food. And if you're a foodie, you know, you sort of, I get hungry every now and then reading this because she really does describe food's part of it though, because it's creative as well. Mm-hmm. It's all the different meals and that they cook that also have influences from all these different countries. So you got all the Swedish meals and then you got the Sierra Leone recipes and the American food comes in and then you'll get herbs from here mixed with chicken from there, and because they're feeding all these people as well, and it's such a part of their communal living is sharing food. That's a lovely part of this book, and I'm not even a foodie, and I really enjoyed how that crept into it. It just helped you realise what their life was. It's music, food, art, talking, you know, just having loads of children, you know, all that. You've got the whole melting pot of their whole lives. It really comes across.
Yeah, and it's just how like welcoming everyone in.
Yeah.
And collaboration. It's just, it's all about other people and bridging gaps. And
then there's other sides to this that we won't dwell on, but there's huge amounts of grief and loss, and people are dying. And
oh, well, look, we shouldn't gloss over the fact that Don Cherry is dying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I also love? Like, when she's telling us that, then she'll just throw in that as a teenager, Don Cherry was working at a drugstore which delivered opiates to Vincent Price, Doris Day, and Ronald Reagan. It's just like, now I need to know more about that.
That's quite important.
You can't just tell us that in a
You're
sentence
right.
and then move on.
You're right. Yeah, because they get this. They go to live in Spain whilst he's dying and invite him to live with them. So she gets this sort of end of life, all these extra talks, and he gets to hang out with. And Chrissy Hind comes over and lives there for a while and adopts a donkey. Hey, get this. She could talk the hind legs off a donkey.
Oh, the hind legs.
Ah!
Oh, I see what you did. That's very good.
Thank you. But, it never stops this interesting life, let's move to Spain and then record an album out in Spain. And that's just while they're nursing him, and Moki comes and lives out there.
And she's also pregnant with another pop star at this point.
Oh, yes.
While Don is passing, she's pregnant with Mabel.
So is she called Mabel Cherry?
No, she's just called Mabel. It's another mononym like Tiffany. Are we bringing it to an end already? I don't want it to end because I love it so much, but you're right. We've only got so much time.
No, I know. Anyway, this book is
No. Sorry, before we wrap up, I really need to talk about the thing towards the end of the book, which I felt like it came from nowhere, but actually, in retrospect, makes so much sense. So Neneh Cherry, throughout this whole book, has been just such a wise and responsible mother to more than just her children. She's so sorted and thoughtful. I'm just in awe of her. Then all of a sudden, when I think the book's just going to have this happy ending of her having a nice middle-aged life, she really goes off the rails.
Right off them.
And I was very, very shocked by this.
It's after her mum dies. Her mum is everything to her. Like, everything.
Yeah, she's her anchor for sure.
Yeah, she wasn't even old. She was about 61 or something. She's just had this big art exhibition in Stockholm, and they hadn't given her any news coverage. She didn't get the respect she deserves for what she contributed to art in Sweden. And she was so disappointed. It feels like she fell over and broke something, and then she died in her sleep. They left her body there so they could all run over and see her before she was moved. And she was just lying on her bed with a book, like a big atlas. So she'd just been reading and gone to sleep and didn't wake up. So it's such a massive shock. I think it flipped something in her brain. And like we're saying, that the foundations that are sowed from all that anxiety of worrying about Don dying, I think all that stuff that's not dealt with, and you haven't seen a therapist, and you haven't dealt with all this stuff in your childhood, and her mum dying sort of triggered a massive breakdown, effectively, that lasted years.
But it was kind of a delayed breakdown because it didn't happen immediately when her mum died. It happened a couple of years later. When I read it, like Mabel, who's her youngest child, is about 14. Because Neneh is such a mother, I kind of think that Neneh kind of holds it together. I think when a child is like 14, they begin to look after themselves. And certainly the daughter of Neneh Cherry is going to be fiercely independent like Neneh Cherry was.
Oh, yeah.
And I think she waited until her children could look after themselves. And then something in her flipped.
Yes.
And she lost it. She became an alcoholic.
Hit the bottle. I know, it's really weird. I mean, you wonder where people go, but that's where she went. She's literally, she talks about Mabel's 14th birthday, and she got really upset and said, I'm going back to Sweden because she caught sight of her mum swigging from a wine bottle outside in the street.
Yeah, she's out having her 14th birthday dinner with her family. And I guess she's telling them she's not drinking.
Yeah.
And she goes outside and they catch her necking a bottle of red wine outside the restaurant.
Yes, yeah.
And eventually she's sent to a psychiatric hospital and she doesn't want to go, but she realizes she needed help. But she says even though she went, it wasn't the end of it. And she says after coming out of the hospital, she had 4 other episodes bordering on psychotic, all triggered by alcohol. As they even talk about the crazy Christmas, where Neneh, I'm not laughing, I'm just so shocked by this whole thing.
Yeah.
She says that she hid a box of wine in the attic, and she actually says, I was just fucking insane.
Psychotic.
And it surprises me so much because her whole life she's been so entirely level-headed.
Yeah. Well, we never mentioned that when her mum took her to London and then they moved to New York, she thinks that she might have done that because she sensed that Neneh was going off the rails because she was hanging with the bad bunch, hanging with the wild bunch, you know, in Stockholm, and they was hanging in car parks, she describes it. And she says, I think I was going on the path of self-destruct and I think my mum pulled me away from it.
Right.
So she had it in her. She just then got curbed into such an interesting life. She didn't have a chance to let it all out.
That's very interesting because Moki is taking Don to rural Sweden to get him away from his demons.
Yes.
And then she's taking Neneh away as well because maybe she's realising,
thinking that,
recognising the similar things in her.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So no wonder when she dies, there's no one to keep anyone together anymore.
Yeah.
Bit of a hero. Yeah, but yeah, you had no idea. And she said she didn't make any music or write a song or sing anything for 16 years.
Yes.
And she's back making music again now. So we will have to be listening out to what comes out of Neneh Cherry.
Do you know what? And I'm really ashamed to say that I've listened to the first 3 albums regularly and I've actually not listened to any of her new stuff. So I need to do that.
That is true.
Because do you know what? Her lyricism is pure poetry. So I know I'm going to love it.
We will love it. I need to do the same.
Yeah, I think she's completely exceptional. I think this book is exceptional.
I do too.
But I think it's exceptional because Neneh Cherry is exceptional and she always has been.
Yeah.
And she will continue to be. I just totally love her.
Me too.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Thrift Shop Biography. We love making this podcast and we're absolutely thrilled that so many of you are already listening. You could really help us out by leaving us a review somewhere, wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you could share us, tell your friends about us, or drop some links on social media. We have a Facebook page called Thrift Shop Biography, so make sure you come over there to hear about the episodes first and what else we're up to. Okay, see you next week. And if you're new here, there are loads more episodes now to go and listen in the back catalogue, so make sure you go and enjoy them. Okay, thank you very much.